Well, you call him Reverend Al Sharpton, and the feds are said to have called him confidential informant number one. Now, the Smoking Gun is reporting that Sharpton worked as an FBI informant in the 80s, and he snitched on the mob. Now, Sharpton, for his sake, he's denying the allegations. However, the site says that he worked for the feds after being caught on tape talking to a drug lord about coke deals. Smoking Gun says, quote, Sharpton's main job was to dig up dirt on the Genovese crime family. Okay. You've known and covered this man for a long, long time.
30 years.
Right. He's been everything from a guy I covered in a jumpsuit during the Tawana Brawley case here to somebody who reinvented himself, man of God here. Then he became a major power broker in racial politics, became a candidate many times, including a credible one in the run for president, talk show host, once again, major power broker. Do you buy it?
Well, at his news conference today, Reverend Sharpton admitted that he did wear a wire that was carried in a briefcase, but he said that he did so because the mobsters had threatened his life. That was his rationale. All I can tell you, Richard, I do remember back in the early 80s when I would go to his office in Brooklyn, which was also his residence, there was a red phone on his desk. And it later came out in Newsday that was a hotline to the FBI. And he didn't deny it at the time. And so I knew about this stuff, but I didn't know all of this. I knew that he was very tight with Michael Jackson. He introduced me to Michael Jackson. So he, a lot of stars were around him. But to listen to Sharpton, because he was the stage manager for James Brown, legendary James Brown, according to him, he's around all of these shady characters. And thus, that's what happened.
It's funny. And there we see Reverend Al from way back in the day here.
Look at that.
Look at that. I do remember that. So it's funny. He's been called everything in the book, and he's still not only standing but thriving. Snitch in some way, shape, or form. Could that do him more harm to his reputation than maybe some of the other things he's been called?
I don't know. They've thrown everything at this man, including the kitchen sink, and it seems like his popularity only grows.
But he always had street credibility.
He always had street credibility. I don't know. I would imagine it doesn't play too well with the mob 6 months from now when it goes away. I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't think this matters at all to Al Sharpton. He's a brand. He's not running for office anymore. He's a personality on television.
And he has the president in town this week.
If anything, this is just more publicity, more, you know.
I got a question for you, Phil. Yeah. What would you guess? And a poll asked this question, so I'm not trying to be clever. I actually know the answer before I ask the question.
Okay.
What do you think bothers the public more? Cheating on your spouse or political corruption? Is it better to be a creep or a crook in the eyes of the general public?
It's better to be a creep.
It's true.
According
to a new Q poll released after Louisiana Representative Vance McAllister, a Republican, was caught on camera kissing a female staffer. He's married and known to be a devoted Christian. And the Q poll represented voters here with a fictional politician and said he had an extramarital affair. His favorability rating dropped to 36%. And only 39% said they might support his re-election campaign. The numbers, though, dropped even lower when the poll said the politician created a well-paid position and hired a member of his family who wasn't qualified for it. 22% favorable rating, plunging, and you see the numbers there. And only about a quarter would support him getting reelected. It's funny how far we've come. I'm not sure those numbers wouldn't be reversed 20 years ago.
Yeah, you know what? My reaction to that is it's a double-edged sword. It seems like, and I don't have, I'm not a partisan. I really am not. But it seems like Democrats get away with this on the infidelity side than Republicans do.
But the only thing I would point out with that, for the most part, it's not Democrats around talking family values every day. I mean, the way that Republicans do.
Well, this guy did an ad to win, right? And I saw the spot where he said, for me, my most important things are faith and family, right? When you throw that out, right? You know what I'm saying? You're asking for trouble, okay?
Yes.
And believe me, infidelity is a bipartisan trait. I'm not saying it's not,
true.
But I'm just saying when the guy's trotting out the family and he's not even there for 4 months and he's hooking up with a staffer in an elevator and he's telling everybody that he's opposed to gay marriage because it should be, the sanctity of a man and his wife, and there you go. It's a little tough to swallow. But, okay, I got a question for both of you. What exactly did Tom DiNapoli ever do to Governor Cuomo? Now, Tom sat in the same seat where Phil's sitting right now. He seems like a nice enough guy, but he says, Mr. DiNapoli, the controller, he doesn't want to be the sacrificial lamb of campaign finance reform. He opted out of a provision that wiggled its way into the budget in the 11th hour. Governor Cuomo's office now seems to be having more than a little fun at Mr. DiNapoli's expense. And Dom, he was the only guy. It wasn't like there was other positions. He was the only guy, fellow Democrat, everything else. You know, I don't know why. I just feel bad for Tom. It just seems like he's the whipping boy of the governor.
Well, with this governor, when you're on his list, you're there for a while. With this governor, I don't care how well he smiles for the camera and how good-looking Governor Cuomo is, and he's in the gym every day. When you're on his list, trust me, I know. You're on his list. Yeah. And so as far as DiNapoli, he's a great man. I mean, listen, the governor talked the talk about campaign finance reform.
Well, he's not applying to himself.
Of course not. Of
It's
course.
election year.
How dare you apply to me? So he's got to do it somewhere. And so you pick which one. He doesn't like really either statewide elected official.
Yeah.
There's no
there's
love
rumors
lost.
even that he could even do it to the Attorney General Schneiderman.
He likes to give noogies. You know? He's a noogie meister.
Well, this is going to hurt Tom. I mean, this will hurt DiNapoli in that he's got a war chest here. He had no choice. He put him in a box, and he had to say no to it. He doesn't look good right now, but I still want to know why. It's not just because he could. There has to be some backstory in this. I just haven't heard it yet.
Well, somebody had to be a sacrificial lamb. I mean, the governor had put a lot of stock into this issue.
He could have thrown a few guys in the bus. He chose one, and he always seems the one guy that comes out short is DiNapoli with this governor. You know,
This is true.
Do you think this really hurts DiNapoli, though? I mean, in terms of like voter perception, since they don't even know what a controller does in the first place.
But it does mean he's got to get out there and raise more money since he's opting out of campaign finance.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and nobody likes doing that. Okay, we take a break. But when we come back, we're going to head back out to Austin, Texas, where our senior political correspondent Andrew Whitman is sticking by, following again the Civil Rights Summit. We're going to have much more on that after this.